previously looked at the Ryzen 3 from Asus. Really great performance with the 8th gen Asetek, but £450 that thing cost. Even now it's still $340-ish in pounds, so it's still very, very expensive. But we have an option for EK, which is half the price. This is the EK Nucleus CR360 Lux D-RGB, so digital RGB. You can also get a 240mm variant. There's also black and white options available for both. You also have the option for a stealthy version as well, which is a dark series. That also means it's a bit cheaper because you're not paying for the RGB. So as we get in the box, I want to quickly say apologies to EK. I have had this for quite a while, but I'm hoping that it shall do very well for views, considering it's half the price of this thing here. So the first things here, we have a little welcome book. This literally feels like the weight of a book. And there's a, oh, look at that for a manual. That is what you call a manual. I love the orange accent as well for the logo. That's a really nice little touch. We've also got a thank you for choosing EK Nucleus AIO. We'll continue to lead the way in liquid cooling. And there's some information about all their social links, a little QR code for extended warranty, and also awesome stickers as well. I might just stick one of those on my laptop. This is also my first EK product as well, so I'm looking forward to seeing like how the unboxing experience is, if that makes any sense. For our, I'm going to guess accessories. Oh, this is an actual box. It's not a cardboard box. It's like a, it's got a drawer in it. Well, that presentation though, we've got different options for our mounting. So if you're going to go through some fans and then into the radiator, or if you're going to go through a case then into your fans, or fans, case, then radiator, you've got different links to suit all of those options there. Got some of the standoff parts above that. Some really nice thumb screws for when the block goes down with some springs underneath. I do like to see a little tube of thermal paste included with coolers, especially if you're going to maybe upgrade your CPU after a couple of years. Then you've got some, you don't need to buy some extra. This little tool here is to help you screw down the little standoffs. Makes it life a little bit easier because it's quite a fiddly thing to do, especially if you've got a motherboard that's got some beefy VRMs. Getting your fingers around can be quite tricky, or at least I find that because I've got big hands. So something like this can make life a lot easier. So this cable here, we've got 5-volt addressable for the lighting. There's a 4-pin header and then also a little proprietary, looks like the Corsair Type 5 cables actually. And then in this little box here, presumably we're going to find some backplates and mounting hardware. So a few different options in here. We've got the backplates for LGA 1200 11.5X, which is square, LGA 1700, which is rectangular, the top plate for the 11.5X or 1700, and then you've also got your AM4 and AM5 mounting options, as the backplates already come with the motherboards for those. Just to put that back in its drawer for the minute. Loving the unboxing experience so far though. So here are our fans. These are the EK FPTs, the little proprietary connector that I mentioned. Here is on the fan, so you can daisy chain, then that will go to the single 4-pin. Hopefully we can just control one of those with one header, which would be nice and easy, especially for like cable management as well. In terms of the spec of these fans, they go from 550 up to 2300 RPM, so very, very fast, up to 73 CFM. I'm also going to be setting these to 1600 in the BIOS to keep the testing fair, and the same between the Asus AIO and also the Corsair one. I'll talk to you more about the test setup in a minute. So of course we have 3 fans, as this is a 360mm AIO. I will be putting those on in a minute. And then the actual radiator and pump itself, the silica gel, don't need that. I do like that they've got these tamper-proof stickers, so you'll know if anyone's tried to open this before you. We've got a couple of peels on the block as well. Let's try and find the end. There we go. That reel's a very nice matte white. We have got another peel on the other side, but I'll leave that until we're done with the testing. EK logo, this top could actually be taken off and you can rotate it, so you can always have it the right way up. It's a bit of a pet peeve of mine when there's no option to flip it. For example, I think it was an MSI AIO I looked at before. You can rotate the block, but then you've got no option to actually rotate the screen, so it's just permanently on one side. So nice that we have the option to do that, so good job EK. Cable wise, on the end of this pump, we've got a 4-pin for the pump power. There's a 5-volt addressable RGB, and we've also got a male one if you want to do any daisy chaining. Hopefully the camera will pick it up, but we've got some very nice sleeving on the hoses. And then we also have a very different design for the actual radiator tank here. You can see, rather than having the hoses come straight out and be visible, we've got a little cover that actually I think makes it look a lot nicer. That'll all sit nice and flush, just adds a little extra touch rather than just seeing some bare ends going into the radiator. So big fan of that actually, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it sits in the case as well. So the final peel, we've got a nice brushed aluminium or aluminum side to the radiator as well, just to give a little bit of contrast from the otherwise all white. In EK's words, this is their diamond cut brushed aluminium side panel, and it really does make the AIO just look overall so much better. There's the cover where the fittings go in, then that nice brushed aluminium panel just makes the AIO look so much more appealing, and it's nice to see that there's a company that's taken into consideration both ends of the AIO and not just one. Going back down to the pump end, we've got the copper base and then some pre-applied thermal paste. I'm going to be testing this on an Intel 12900K, which is actually my graphics card test bench, but it's the same system that I tested the Asus Ryzen in, so I think it's only fair that we put it in that one as well. I'm going to run my usual Cinebench tests on it, run the fans at 1600 RPM as well, so everything's consistent, and then see what kind of results we get. Price wise at the moment, this is $169.99 on scan, but this is their top end model. Of course, if you want to go for 240, that would be a little bit cheaper, and then the stealth options without the RGB are around 109 for the price. I think it's going to be really nice for those that are on a bit more of a budget. So let's now get into the system, see how it performs, and see how much better value it is than some competitors on the market. So conclusion time for the EK AIO. Got quite a bit to say, so please bear with me. I don't use a teleprompter or anything like that, so I've got a clipboard that I'm going to be reading from, but you're going to want to know this if you're going to be investing your hard-earned money into this, I would hope anyway. As you can see, I've put it into a white system to give you an idea of what it would look like in a white case. My test system is all black, and putting it in that doesn't really give it a very real-world scenario of how you'd actually use it, because obviously you'd buy black for a black case, and I think it looks absolutely cracking in this NZXT H7 flow. Effortless to install as well. I love the daisy chain, the fans, really easy. Also the cables are very tight, so they don't dangle at the back of the AIO, something that I've seen on other ones before. And there's a price premium as well, so if you expect to pay a bit extra for daisy chains fans, you don't want them hanging at the back of the AIO. Obviously you want them to be tucked up and nice and tidy, which these are. I like the additional tool to screw in the standoffs. It makes life so much easier, especially if you have a higher end board with lots of VRM cooling. My test system is a Z690 Hero, and that's the case here. It helps a lot, especially with my long fingers. Fans plug into the splitter cable, then you've got the 4-pin for fan power, and then also the 5-volt addressable daisy chains into the one that's on the pump as well. So it just goes onto one header, really nice. Also, great job EK for using a standard 3-pin 5-volt addressable header rather than making us use a USB 2 header and then proprietary software. It's a real pain when you have to use another piece of software just for some RGB on your cooler, so thank you for not making us do that. You can set the RGB to whatever your motherboard offers. I've got a few demos that I'm just going to put on the screen for you to see here. I'm not going to go through everything because it can vary on the board that you have, as each different manufacturer offers different effects and things, but for this one I'm using a Gigabyte board, and you've got some nice different effects in there. You can obviously go and customize that to how you wish. The white's also very nice as well. I often do check the white just to see if it's got a little bit of a tint or anything, but this one is very, very white, which is nice to see. Now the thermal testing, I used the Intel 12900K on the Z690 Hero. We've got 32 GB of Kingston Fury Beast DDR5 at 5600 MHz. The Asus TUF RTX 3080, then a Seagate Fire Cooler 531TB for storage. All the parts are powered by the Phanteks Revolt 1000 watt in the Etho Pro 2. Orientation wise, I installed this in the front of the case with the fans pushing through the radiator. That's how I also tested the Ryzen 3 and also the Corsair AIO that's in there by default when I do GPU testing. And then the fans are set to a nice constant 1600 RPM. That's actually 69% in the BIOS. Nice. They're actually very quiet at that volume as well. You don't really notice it until you get around 2000 RPM. So in terms of the power that these fans put out, they're very quiet at even a high RPM. So then I did my usual testing. As a baseline, the Corsair H170i Elite LCD had a delta temperature of 65.3, reached a maximum delta of 55.3. The generational jump between Aztec 7th and 8th gen was really quite big. It certainly added a lot of extra performance. Then the testing the EK AIO gave us a maximum temperature of 77, but my room was much cooler at that time, so it was a 17.6 ambient. That then gave us a delta of 59.4. But overall, this is certainly a fantastic overall package. It's not just beauty and overall, and it does both very well. And I think the price to performance, I think, is just bang on as well. And you also get a really nice unboxing experience as well. For those that are wondering about a version with a screen, that is something that has been confirmed by EK. Not too sure when we'll see that, but hopefully we'll see it soon, as I think it could certainly wipe the floor with the Ryzen, especially if they get the price bracket right, maybe say 250, something like that. If you can keep it nice and cheap in comparison to the Ryzen, it will just absolutely wipe the floor with it. So if there's anything else you'd like to know about this, then do leave a comment. I will be using this in a few builds as well, so we can talk about it a little bit more then as well. So get subscribed and ding the bell so you don't miss those. Big thank you to the legend Dave at EK for sending this over for me to review. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.